You know, nature's incredibly good at keeping secrets. Imagine just for a second that you're wandering through a dense, totally uncharted forest, or maybe plunging into the absolute pitch blackness of the deep ocean. You're out there looking for ghosts. Literally, animals that the scientific world completely wrote off as extinct decades or even centuries ago. Welcome to our Explainer. Today we're embarking on a thrilling, documentary-style expedition to uncover creatures that have seemingly returned from the dead. These are stories of unbelievable survival against all odds, and they prove that the natural world is way more resilient and honestly, way more mysterious than we ever gave it credit for.
So scientists actually have a name for them, Lazarus species. But honestly, you can just think of it as nature's ultimate game of hide and seek. When things like human expansion, aggressive hunting, or invasive predators push a species right to the absolute brink, sometimes they don't actually vanish completely. Instead, they retreat. They find the most isolated, inaccessible, rugged pockets of the planet, and they just hide. And the scientists out there tracking them? Well, they're basically the ultimate wildlife detectives, racing against the clock to find these creatures before those fragile hiding spots vanish for good.
Okay, let's open up our Explorer's logbook and see what's on the map today. We're going to kick things off with Mysteria alam yan terdalam, then follow the Jejak Penemu and Super Dramatics. After that, we'll do a quick Uji Instant Wildlife Quiz, check out Bangkit Dari Masa Lalu, confront the Anchan Yada Kerusakan habitat, and finally wrap up with Harapan Talake Ecosystem Kita. All right, let's dive right into this.
Starting with Section 1, Mysteria alam yang terdalam, or Secrets of the Deep Oceans. Let's leave the sunlight behind. We are diving down into the deepest, darkest waters on Earth, where the crushing depths basically act as a giant, undisturbed vault for ancient giants.
I mean, consider these incredible survivors. First up, we've got the Greenland shark. This deep-sea prehistoric giant can literally live up to 200 years. And here's the wild part. Because it lives in total darkness and deals with parasites that often leave it completely blind, it doesn't even need its eyes. It navigates that pitch-black world using an incredibly sharp sense of smell. And then, way down in the Mariana Trench, Japanese marine biologists caught footage of this massive, unidentified shark. We are talking about a giant nearly 60 feet long, and its whole body is covered in these heavy, mysterious battle scars. It really shows how these unexplored oceans are the ultimate hiding spot for creatures we still barely understand.
Moving on to Section 2, Jejak Penemu Super Dramatics, Expeditions into the Unknown. Now, let's trade the crushing depths of the sea for the dense, suffocating humidity of the deepest jungles, where literally every snapped twig could be the ghost you're looking for.
Just walk through this rapid sequence of events with me. For well over a century, the black-naped pheasant-pigeon was a total myth, a ghost. Step 1. Out of nowhere, local rumors start popping up, breaking the silence. Step 2. A high-stakes, heart-pounding expedition heads deep into Ferguson Island, Papua New Guinea in September 2022. The researchers set up their gear and they wait. Then, Step 3. Unbelievable discovery. After 140 years of absolute scientific silence, they find the bird alive. The researchers were literally jumping for joy. I mean, it is the ultimate thrilling payoff for years of exhausting detective work. But you know, the jungle holds other kinds of mysteries too. Imagine tracking through the remote highlands of Indonesia and suddenly hearing a sound that actually resembles the haunting, harmonious call of a humpback whale. That's the new Guinea Singing Dog. This apex predator basically vanished from the wild back in the 1970s, and for over 50 years, everyone thought it was entirely extinct. But recently, researchers managed to track down its descendants, hiding out right there among wild dog packs. Hearing that incredibly unique musical howl echoing through the mountains again, man, that is just spine-tingling.
All right, Section 3, Uchi Instinct. Can you solve the mystery? Wake up, detectives, because it is time to put your own wildlife instincts to the test. Let's see if you can figure out this mystery before I reveal the answer.
Okay, here are your clues. This elusive animal was first officially described way back in 1866, but shortly after that, it completely vanished, and scientists very confidently slapped an extinct label on it. It stayed that way for over a century. Fast forward to 1994, and a massive, devastating hurricane just tears through its island home. And right in the middle of all that destruction, a German herpetologist named Willy Henkel makes a genuinely shocking discovery. So, what do you think? What creature did this massive storm bring out of hiding?
It was the Crested Gecko. Yep, Coralophus ciliatus. They found it literally clinging to survival on the Isle of Pines in New Caledonia.
It's incredibly poetic, isn't it? A violent, chaotic storm that you'd assume would only bring destruction actually peeled back the curtain just enough to reveal this legendary survivor that had been hiding in plain sight for over 100 years. Absolutely amazing.
That brings us to Section 4, Bangkit dari Masa Lalu, Time Travelers of the Animal Kingdom. Because you see, the crested gecko isn't the only animal taking a massive leap through time.
Now, what's really interesting here is the mind-blowing gaps in time. Just look at the Bermuda petrel in the middle there. It hid from human sight for 300 years. 3 centuries of top scientists believing it was gone forever before it suddenly reappeared in 1951. Or check out the bottom row, Attenborough's long-beaked echidna, lost since the early 20th century and only just rediscovered in November of 2023. I mean, these aren't just animals, they're basically living time travelers.
And some of these time travelers are dazzlingly colorful. Take Volsko's chameleon, for example. Last seen in 1893, it managed to hide out in the underbrush of Madagascar for over a century. When researchers finally tracked it down again, they got to observe the female of the species for the very first time. And wow, she was spectacular. She actually displays these stunning, vibrant black, white, and red spots whenever she feels stressed. Just a tiny, colorful jewel, totally hidden away for over 100 years.
So, Section 5, Ancaman Nyata Kerusakan Habitat, the dark side of the mystery. We really have to ask ourselves a tough question here. Why are they hiding in the first place? And that brings us to the dark side of this whole phenomenon. Because these animals aren't just playing a fun game, they are literally fleeing for their lives. Notice the stark contrast we've got here. Over on the left, you see the fragile, perfectly balanced native habitats that these animals desperately need to survive. Things like isolated islands and undisturbed deep forests. But on the right, you have the invading forces, aggressive human logging, massive habitat destruction, and the accidental introduction of invasive species. When these two sides clash, the native wildlife just gets absolutely decimated. To really understand the impact, let's walk through the timeline of the Lord Howe Island tragedy. Back in 1918, a ship called the SS Macombo wrecked right off the coast. Now, unfortunately, it accidentally unleashed a massive swarm of invasive black rats onto an island that had literally zero natural predators. Within just 2 years, by 1920, the island's unique giant stick insect was completely wiped out, eaten to presumed extinction. It actually took over 80 years before researchers miraculously found a tiny surviving population clinging to a totally rat-free volcanic rock called Ball's Pyramid about 23 kilometers away. One single shipwreck almost erased an entire species forever.
And sadly, they aren't alone. The Guam rail was completely wiped out in the wild by invasive predators, and it's hanging on by a thread today only because of emergency zoo breeding programs. Then there's the giant muntak, which is this really unique barking deer with massive antlers. It's been severely decimated by aggressive human hunting and overlapping habitats with big cats. So the crucial takeaway here is this: rediscovering these amazing animals is really only step 1. If we don't actively protect their native homes and stop this environmental bleeding, we're going to lose them again, and next time it'll be for sure.
But let's move to Section 6, Harapan Terakhir Ecosystem Kita, Second Chances for Conservation. Because this isn't just a story about tragedy, it's a story of profound hope. Modern conservationists are fighting back harder than ever, and these Lazarus species, they are giving us a crucial second chance.
See, modern conservation moves at lightning speed these days. Take the Wageo brush turkey. Step 1, sharp population drops flag the bird as incredibly vulnerable. Step 2, immediate rapid action. In 2016, researchers trekked deep into the isolated forests of West Papua and deploy remote camera traps. Step 3, boom, they capture undeniable photographic proof that the bird is actually still out there. And that single flash of a camera immediately triggers emergency protection protocols. Technology is basically allowing us to aggressively defend these creatures the very second they step out of the shadows.
To put that kind of hope into perspective, remember the Bermuda petrel we talked about earlier? The bird that was missing for 300 years? Well, when scientists finally found them again in 1951, do you know how many there actually were? 18? Just 18 pairs of birds left on the entire planet. But you know what? That was enough. It proved that no matter how small the number is, if we step up and protect the habitat, a massive conservation comeback is absolutely possible.
Which leaves us with one final, ultimate question. Nature has done its part. It has hidden these incredible creatures away, it kept them safe against all odds, and now it has handed us a second chance to save them. So the true mystery isn't really where these animals have been hiding all this time,
The real question is, now that they've returned, will we waste it? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep your eyes open, protect our wild spaces, and never, ever stop exploring.